out today, raise and remove 295 Main Street. I drove by there, like, what the?
Looks beautiful, doesn't it?
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't drive by there.
Well, gotta try.
85 mattresses, same for the
85.
building,
Same for the
and
meeting.
4 large
I know.
piles of shingles.
85 mattresses.
So gross.
Yeah.
So we have to sit in silence for 3 minutes?
Yeah.
We can't talk about that anymore?
Not that topic.
I just
the house
don't
is up
drive
for
up that
auction.
way very often.
Take a cruise. It's good.
No, I believe. I will look, now that I know to look.
Hey,
Just got 2 minutes.
Oh, I heard the bell.
The bell is 2 minutes ahead,
The bell's a little fast. My phone says we got 2 minutes.
Oh, well then.
and that's what I
I'll be
go by.
back.
You can take a breath.
Hello. What's the
Long
gossip?
time no see.
What's going on? Any rumors that we need to?
Yes, we've started a few.
Unfortunately, they're all about you, so
Nice, right?
now we can't talk about it.
Nice.
close. Not very close, but.
And Neil
Yeah, we got like
Nope, he's in
20,
4.
35 seconds. I'm looking at your countdown.
We want to start early. Get ourselves in trouble.
No. The only one that would care is Frank. I don't know who else
Do you
would
see
care.
you have a public hearing at 5:15?
I did, yeah. So I'll have to keep an eye on that.
We can get through the entire agenda before then, right?
That's the plan.
Quick.
Always the goal.
Some of those items take time.
Get a cold over there?
Someone on the stairs?
A little.
I was at a concert this weekend and my voice is still gone. Taking me a couple days. to
Where'd you
recover.
go? Katy Perry. Taylor
Katy
Swift,
Perry.
I'll talk to you about it after. Meeting to order. Bill, you can lead us.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. I will make a motion to approve the September 25th regular meeting minutes.
I will second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, announcements. The Select Board will meet on the following dates at 5 p.m. Monday, November 13th, Monday, November 27th. Citizens wishing to be listed on the Select Board's agenda should notify the Town Hall before noon the Thursday before the scheduled meeting. All meetings will be held upstairs in Town Hall and will be held by Zoom. Zoom information can be found on the town's website at plymouth-nh.org. All town offices will be closed on Friday, November 10th in observance of Veterans Day, with a ceremony on Saturday, November 11th at 10:30 a.m. in front of Town Hall. Into comments. Since we didn't meet 2 weeks ago, I did want to make a comment, sort of a public recognition of the good job done by the police, fire, EMS, town manager, town of Plymouth, all surrounding agencies in the execution around the Pirate Party event. It was controlled, still a very large event, but it did not occur on the streets of our town. No roads were blocked, and while there were certainly busy police officers and busy EMS, it was much less of the out of control anarchy we've seen in past years. So really well executed, and obviously all of those departments did a great job, but Scott, your work in particular, coordinating with the university to help lead us to that outcome and a solution where they really took ownership of an event they didn't really want to own, right? They didn't throw pirate party, but they kind of got out of the way and allowed it to happen in a controlled way. And at least I, for one, am very appreciative of how that all turned out. And so thank you, and thank all the departments that certainly pass that feedback
I definitely
back.
will, and it is an effort that takes a lot of different people, including the board, the police, the fire, the EMS, and with the university. I think based on our relationship, they saw that we were not going to tolerate that occurring on a public street or sidewalk in the town of Plymouth. And the effort went through flawlessly. Very minor problems, even at the location that it was held at student apartments. We didn't see the fights. We didn't see people on top of buildings. When they were told that they needed to disperse, they dispersed, and they dispersed peacefully without any problems taking place after, whether off campus, downtown, or any location. We continue to debrief. I know law enforcement and fire debriefed last week. We have a meeting with the university coming up to debrief and start talking about what next year could look like. So I think we moved in the right direction, and an effort on a lot of different people's part. So
Yeah.
thank you.
How were you able to keep it off the public streets? Just
I will tell you, we were out there at 6 a.m. on Sunday morning on Russell Street, and we had a couple locations that were kind of threatening that they were going to have a party. And we worked very closely with the off-campus landlords and got their support, and they were out there with us. And we had 2 houses that kept pushing us, and we contacted the landlords. The landlords reached out to their tenants and said, if there is a party at my residence on Russell Street, you will be evicted tomorrow morning, and you will no longer be a resident of Russell Street. So I've got to say, working with the off-campus landlords, and we met with them prior to the event on that Sunday morning, but we were out there very early making sure that there wasn't going to be any gathering taking place.
Yeah, and the university did send out some good communications that had outlined a location on campus.
okay.
The students, I don't think, believed them. There was very much a kind of an undercurrent in the social media of, this is a trap. We're being trapped. We're going to get busted. And so rather than it happening on Mary Lyon Lawn, it happened at the student apartments. Right. So the students still got to insert a certain amount of anarchy into that, but that was a rumor that it might happen there. So the university was pretty prepared to, and they pivoted very quickly and tore down the DJ stage, relocated it into the student apartments, and it went well. They were flexible. Everyone handled it very nicely, I think.
They fed them. They brought in 150 pizzas. They brought in 250 sliders and French fries and 100 cases of water, just trying to keep them fed and keep them hydrated.
Yeah.
And
So did they serve that at the student apartments?
Yeah.
I thought their hope was to have it in front of their.
They relocated everything. They saw what was happening, and I give them a lot of credit for shifting that and not trying to force a location that wasn't going to happen, and accepting an alternate place on campus. Yeah, it was really good.
Well, in the grand scheme of things, that's a little more removed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't spill over onto Court Street or anything over here.
No, and it's, the student apartments have that nice, it's surrounded,
Yeah.
so even the audio from it didn't really spill into the residential areas. I don't think we got any complaints that I heard of
No.
about
I mean,
noise. And
I walked around that morning, and I knew it was happening, but like you said, it was you wouldn't really know it if you didn't actually go up close.
right, yeah, if you might see a lot of people walking around in sort of funny outfits and be like,
Yes.
well, there's something strange happening here today. Yeah.
For a non-sanctioned event, it went off pretty well.
Right.
it did.
Still non-sanctioned, yes, but so much better place than where we were a year ago. I did not expect us to be as successful as we were, and very impressive. Any other comments from anybody else on the board on any general Okay, well, let's jump to Scott's town manager report, and I will probably interrupt you if we're still rolling at the 5:15 point.
Sure. First in my report is the delinquent tax update. As a follow-up to our discussion on September 11th, I've spoken with Linda with regards to letters being sent out. Linda currently has delinquent tax written agreements in place with 7 properties. I have them in a folder here for your review and signature to confirm that you are in favor of entering into payment agreements with these 6 properties that are included in this folder.
Anything surprising? Any reason we wouldn't be?
Nope, they are, all the ones that were sent letters, with the exception of one, has come in and entered into a, I apologize, I have allergies, but have entered into a written tax agreement with us.
Great.
Next, Plymouth Police Department is hosting Coffee with a Cop tomorrow, Tuesday, October 24th, from 8 to 10 at Cafe Monte Alto. All are welcome to stop by and join members of the Plymouth Police Department and have a coffee and conversation. There is no agenda or speeches, just a chance to ask questions and voice your concerns. Today I was meeting with Alex and Nate with regards to this event and learned that they have finally completed a full policy update of all the police department policies, which the last time this was done was in 1998. So it's gone through a few chiefs without getting updated, and some very serious policies that needed to be updated. So kudos to Alex and Nate and the team up there. There's over 100 policies in this manual that were updated and released to staff yesterday. So kudos to them.
That's great.
Raise and removal of 295 Main Street. I know some of you have noticed, but Witcher Construction completed the raise and removal of 295 Main Street on October 17th, 18th, and 19th, based on the court order that we received in May. So that has been completed, and the property looks pretty nice right now. Town Hall HVAC, we are in the process of drafting a request for proposal for an HVAC system at Town Hall as a future replacement. We'll have the system evaluated during this process and recommendations for a replacement system. If you haven't seen it, the RFP is actually online on the town website, and we have them available at the front counter downstairs.
Is the fund for that in this year's budget, or is that a next year thing?
It is in,
We have some funding in ARPA, depending on how
Where it
expensive it
comes
comes in. We do have some funding in ARPA that we can use
Okay.
if we needed to.
Town Financial Audit, Jim Roberge, auditor from Roberge and Company, will be here on November 13th to review the financial audit and management discussion and analysis with the board. I believe it will be the first time that we've had the auditor come in and actually go through the audit and discuss the management and discussion analysis of the town's financial position with the board. So I'm excited to have him come in and talk through that with you. Welfare Director's Report. During the month of September, Mary Ann provided assistance to over 25 individuals in need of assistance and/or resources. Mary Ann attended the Plymouth Transportation meeting held at Peace Public Library on Thursday, September 21st. Mary Ann visited the new management of the red carpet on Highland Street. They discussed nightly, weekend, and weekly rates. Tony, the manager, brought Mary Ann on a tour of his leased property to include single rooms, apartments, and cabins. There were substantial improvements made and more reported in the future. Mary Ann has put together a rough draft rate agreement and submitted to me, in which we have executed with the red carpet on Highland Street.
Did rates go up?
Rates actually went down. He negotiated. We were able to negotiate with him to get some pretty decent rates. Tax deed auction update. We have contracted with New Hampshire Tax Deed and Property Auctions for the sale of 34 Fairgrounds Road. New Hampshire Tax Deed and Property Auction has extensive experience in tax deed auctions and provides all services required by law with the transition of the property. The public auction will be held on Saturday, November 18th, here at Town Hall at 3 p.m. The owner of the company is Rick Sager and his son Weston Sager. Like I said, they have extensive background in doing this. We will be touring the facility tomorrow, getting some pictures, and we have a flyer that's up online now with the property that went up today, correct?
Yes, and the open house is November 9th.
From 2 to 4.
Yep.
In Concord, unfortunately, I wanted to take a walk through, but
We have, if you can contact us, we can probably try to make an arrangement.
okay.
We haven't been in yet either, so it'll be our first time to see.
It's a beautiful house. Unfortunately, it's like the lien is, it's your chance. I mean, everything is kind of like, you might be liable, but it might definitely be worth it.
Yeah. I hope it gets a good new owner.
Yeah.
Budget process update during the first 2 weeks of October, October 2nd through the 10th. Ann and I met with department heads to review their budgets and CIP request. We had in-depth discussions of their request, justifications, and have made some adjustments to the budget. The budget was sent to the Advisory Budget Committee on October 19th. Our plan is to meet with the Advisory Budget Committee on Tuesday, October 24th. The Advisory Budget Committee will then meet with department heads from October 26th through November 15th. Additionally, the CIP Committee met on Thursday, October 5th for their initial review of the CIP request. It will meet again on October 24th. Pirate Party, we talked about that. Want me to do the university? You want to go into the public hearing? Zach?
My phone says 1 minute, but let's jump the gun and do it a minute early. What do you think? What do I have here? Okay. I'm going to open a public hearing. Plymouth Selectboard is holding a public hearing in accordance with RSA 3195B for the acceptance and authorization to expend unanticipated funds received from New Hampshire Primex, the town's general liability carrier, in the amount of $12,125 for damages related to an accident and damage of a plow and wing on a highway vehicle back in March of 2023. These funds will be utilized to fix the equipment by HP Fairfield as quoted. And then we have that quote here.
You do, if you continue, in your package, you're going to see a purchase order that the board's going to be asked to sign next.
Okay.
And it's made out to HP Fairfield,
Yep, I got it.
so that kind of goes with it, but I couldn't do anything until after you have the public hearing to accept and expend.
Yep, of course. Yep, and this comes with an appraisal, adjustments, and a purchase order. All right, oh, yes.
Page 2 talks about the open invoice for the plow, which is the $12,125, and that's what this money is going to be used for.
Yes,
Page
I see
2,
it.
item
Yep,
7. I
item
believe.
7,
Yeah.
yeah.
What happened was back in March, we had a structure in the road. Water and sewer had just gone through, and something was done in that area. As our highway department went through, it was quite the dip, and hit the plow, spun the plow right around. And we did learn today that we now have a frame that might be twisted on that vehicle. So
Oh, they missed that in like the
initial review, yes.
yeah.
So, because this is insurance money that came directly to the town, we're just asking for you to accept it and allow us to expend it to pay the bill, so that we don't have to take it out of the regular budget.
Yep. Makes sense.
I'll make a motion that
Hold on, let me get public comment first. Any public comment on the acceptance of these funds?
Nothing for me, I'm just a fly on the wall.
Thank you.
The,
And with that, I can close the hearing and then we can vote.
Oh, so what's the deal with the frame then?
We're
Because
having
that's
that,
going to be like quite a bit more money.
we're having that reviewed now.
Yeah.
Once we get the quote from that, we'll send that to the
Right.
insurance company and say there's additional damage, and we'll go from there.
Are we going to hold on the frame, the plow replacement until after we know what's up with the frame in case they total the truck?
The truck is sitting down there waiting for the adjuster to go look at it.
And then Primex will make their determination whether it's going to be a total or they're going to straighten the frame.
Gotcha. So we wouldn't proceed with this work until after we knew
Right,
that the truck wasn't totaled.
correct.
Okay.
Either way, it potentially could give us 12,000 towards another vehicle if we needed.
Oh, yeah.
you know,
Hopefully,
some
if the vehicle's totaled,
equipment
they'll
or-
give us a whole lot more money to.
Should be more than
To a
12,
point,
right?
yep.
Yeah.
What's a new plow cost?
12,000.
No, what's a new, oh,
Why is
okay.
that?
Right, I meant the whole truck,
Oh, I don't know.
50,000,
Yeah.
give or take.
right?
Yeah.
Swag.
Gotta close it first.
All right. Well, I'm gonna close the public hearing at 5:18 p.m.
Now I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion that we accept the $12,125 received from New Hampshire Primex for the damages to that related accident and authorize to expend it to buy a replacement plow, as quoted.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, back to Scott and the Plymouth State update.
Okay. I met with Plymouth State University Master Plan Executive Committee on Monday, October 16th. This includes updating their 10-year-old master plan currently in place. There really was just discussion on how they're going to facilitate that moving forward. I met with Jessica Dutal on Monday, October 16th. We discussed a number of topics to include the Pirate Party, as well as the Student Government Council and volunteers from PSU Community Impact Department. I attended the PSU Campus and Community Mental Health meeting on Friday, October 20th. Many items were discussed to include the Holiday Assistance Program and the new prevention implementation program at Plymouth State University. With regards to the cluster project and economic development, on Tuesday, October 17th, I met with Plymouth State University team that will be working on our collaborative economic development cluster project. The meeting consisted of introductions and setting the groundwork for the project. We discussed goals, timeline, project scope, character of Plymouth, and possible grants and funding that may be available. We discussed the possible evolutions, which will include an assessment, research, creating the strategy, and implementation of the strategy that comes forth through the collaborative effort with the professors, the students, and our team from the town. What our next step is that John Christ, who is chairing this committee for the university, he will be setting up a meeting with our town team that we identified the members of that a few months ago now. And we'll have a meeting, and then we'll bring the whole team together, both the university and the town, to start planning the project and what will the class content look like for the students on this cluster project. So it is moving forward. We're hopes to have the town team meet over the next couple weeks, but John is kind of putting a date together for that piece of the project. So it is moving forward. Downtown drainage project. A lot going on over the last 2 weeks. Russell Street drainage construction is 95% complete. Minor connections are underway. Main Street drainage is underway from Warren Street to Highland Street. North of the Rotary, the road is being prepared for paving Monday, October 26th. Monday, October 26th. Should have been Thursday, October 26th. Change orders for Russell Street and Warren Streets have been completed and signed off by the EDA. Change order to remove lighting, that was completed. The detention pond work is complete. The outstanding item that we have discussed at the past couple meetings is soil testing concerns have been discussed with NHDES. The town will enter into an agreement modification to add in the soils testing with HEB. That has been completed. HEB received a time and materials quote from John Turner Soil Testing and Consulting Experts for just over $31,650 for the testing and reporting. The modification increases the scope fee of the existing construction administration contract and is not a standalone phase. Sampling began on October 11th, which hopefully will yield results in 48 hours in advance of the drainage work making its way up Main Street. On Monday, October 16th, it was reported that there are in fact contaminated soils in front of the dry cleaners. Gurney's Construction will be handling the soils and waiting for further direction from the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services. With that being said, we don't know what that contaminant is yet. I should find out either tomorrow or the day after, and based on that, we'll define how those soils have to be handled and contained. So more to come on that. I will say that there are funds that we possibly would be able to tap into for the remediation of these soils that have to be tested and hauled and secured. So still more to come on that, but we do have a construction meeting tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, and I'm hoping that Josh McAllister from HEB has a further update that the contaminant has been identified and we understand how that has to be handled.
Where are funds available through?
There's federal funds, relief funds that are available, plus I think it would be in the best interest of the town to reach out to our town attorney if we truly can identify that those contaminants came from the dry cleaners, and see how that could be pursued as well as a contaminant in the soils in front of their operation.
What was there before the dry cleaners, or how do we know it comes from the dry cleaner?
We don't know yet. We won't
Okay.
know until those contaminants have been truly defined as a dry cleaning
Product,
product.
byproduct.
More
Scott,
to come on that.
yeah, more to come. That's
As
that's
I
an
hear.
unfortunate outcome, but I'm glad we tested.
That is the only location coming up from South Main Street that had any contaminants present. North Main Street was declared clear. The same group did the soil testing on North Main Street. So,
So
That's great.
if there are, does this just affect the soils that they take out, or does this affect all the soils in the area?
That's,
it affects the soils they take out.
yeah.
So this year, it's very minor because it's only trench work being done. But when that road is boxed out, in that section from, I'm just gonna say by Lucky Dog up to the nail place, all that soil that's removed from there will probably have to be handled under contract with Goonies for that purpose. And I will say that when Plymouth Village Water and Sewer was handling the soils in front of, or going up North Main Street with the unknown if there was contaminants, it cost about $3,000 a day to manage those soils. Because there has to be poly under them, poly on top of them, and it has to be manned while soil is being brought in. But we don't know that yet. That concludes my report.
Have there been any more issues with people dumping in the detention pond?
There has not.
So
Once
that
we put the
up some
word out there that we have
cameras and
cameras down there.
yeah,
They were
cleared up.
dumping, like,
Like what?
right.
Couches, old beds,
The heck?
yeah. So we put cameras out there and broadcasted that there was cameras down at the detention pond and we hadn't had a problem since. It's amazing what social media will do.
Yeah, kind of
It's
crazy.
so hard to take it to the,
Transfer
Yeah, if
station.
you're gonna
I
go
know,
to
right?
that,
Well, up at the
you
old
just
Western
dragged
Auto,
it down the street?
put it up with 100 other mattresses are.
They're not there now, so.
Well,
they're gone.
All right,
missed the
let
opportunity.
that go.
Any other questions for Scott around the town manager's report?
Nope.
All right, well, we have some purchase orders to look at. Let's start with KV Partners LLC preliminary and final design for Russell Street.
Yep. So Russell Street project is a project that will take place from Pleasant Street down to Highland Street, connecting all the drainage together. Joe did go out to RFP for an engineer for this. He consulted with KV Partners, Brown Engineering, HEB, and Horizons. He had 2 quotes that came back, one from KV Partners at $12,600 and one from Brown Engineering at $15,000. Joe chose to go with KV Partners based on the preliminary and final design. There is money in the current 23-24 budget of $60,000. $30,000 of that was encumbered from last year, and $30,000 was approved by the board for the 23-24 budget. So I would recommend moving forward with this in KV Partners for $12,600.
Zach, there may be additional information in that folder in front of you to be signed that may have, if you're looking for anything else associated with that. I don't know if there is or not.
No, I don't think so. I think it's just the purchase
Okay.
order. Some of the other ones have attachments, but I think that one's just the purchase order. Yeah.
All right, well, I'll make a motion that we accept the bid for $12,600 from KV Partners.
Second. It.
Mary Ann has a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And another purchase order, this one for preliminary and final design plan for drainage on New Hebron Road.
So there still is a section of New Hebron Road from where, the section in between where the new pavement was put down and the new pavement started again, which needs new drainage put in to alleviate the problems that they've had there. Joe did go out to RFP on this. It's about 2,300 feet of roadway between those two newly paved sections. KV Partners came in at $20,635. Brown Engineering came in at $16,500. HEB and Horizons did not provide proposals. They were too busy. In June, Joe received a message from Brown Engineering saying they were not going to be able to complete this task as they were too busy. So with that being said, Joe again went with KV Partners for the preliminary and final design engineering for the drainage on New Hebron Road. Based on discussions with Joe and checking into the other engineering firms, they actually are too busy and can't take on any work because they are down so many engineers at this time. It would be my recommendation to move forward with the quote from KV Partners for $20,635 for this section of road to be engineered.
It's a big section of road. 2,300 feet? Wow.
Yeah, it's almost half a mile.
Almost.
Almost. I'll make a motion that we accept the bid from KV Partners for the preliminary and final design and engineering plan for New Hebron Road for the sum of $20,635.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, next up, we have another purchase order. This one for a contract for road salt for our annual winter road salt.
So Joe did go out to bid on this as well. He received 2 bids, one from Morton Salt and one from Easton Minerals. Morton Salt had actually dropped their price from $83 to $81 per ton. Easton Minerals was $82 per ton. Joe has always used Morton Salt out of Portsmouth, so I would recommend moving forward with 600 tons at $81 a ton for a total of $48,600, which is a little less than what Joe had, or a little less than what Joe paid last year, but we did budget $60,000 this year, as it did go over in the 22-23 budget, which was a $40,000 appropriation and $49,000 was spent.
Okay.
I like seeing the price go down.
I'll make a motion that we accept the bid of $48,600 for molten salt for our annual winter salting activities.
Second.
I mentioned it going down. I think it went up a lot more last year than what it has come down this year. So hopefully maybe we'll see it go down again in the future. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And
You. Did I pass along
That was done.
the New Hebron one? Oh, okay, you got two. I was like, I think I missed one. All right, next up, we have, oh no, we already did that one. Alex Hutchins with the acceptance of traffic patrols grant.
Did you sign the purchase order for that, 12,000?
The HP Fairfield? No.
I think you did.
We discussed it.
We did.
We voted to sign it.
She has to sign those,
Hey.
right?
Marianne.
Marion's got
Good.
them. I've been going to her first.
Oh, okay.
She takes up a space and a half, though, but whatever.
It's only 2 lines.
You just draw right over her. It's fine. So that takes us to the NHOHS traffic enforcement patrols.
So we brought this to the board at the last meeting. It was a discussion in reference to several grants for the police department. The total grant amount that we originally talked about was a little confusing. We had thought it was $3,400, where in fact it's $4,800 grant. So it's the speed, the DUI, and distracted driver, all $1,600 apiece. And there looks like there is a maximum match for all of these grants of up to $1,200. So it's a $4,800 grant with a match from the town of $1,200. So I just need the board to change that motion to make sure that we are reiterating the correct amount.
Gotcha. So the total grant amount is 4,800,
Yes.
but, so is the 1,200 a match on that 4,800, or is the 1,200 in addition to that 4,800?
It's the maximum that the town would have to put out towards that 4,800.
Okay, so
it's
the
part of
town
it.
puts, effectively, the town puts 1,200 in, and we get 3,600.
Correct.
So is it the full 1,200 or is there some,
Up to
Percent.
1,200.
so who determines, how is it
It depends on
determined?
how much it costs to actually run these patrols.
Okay.
So if the patrols cost a little less, of course, we wouldn't bill the state for the entire amount. Then that's when you decide at that point how much to bill them and how much we're responsible for.
So the grant amount, is that really 4,800 or is it 4,800 minus 12?
They want to see 4,800 on the motion. The
See
motion that
4,800, but the actual cash we're accepting is 3,600?
the motion that you made at the last meeting said 3,400. We want to make sure that that motion says 4,800, please.
Okay. I'm going to amend the motion made at the last meeting to accept this grant from a total of 3,400 to a total of 4,800 as reflected here, and to allow Scott Whedon as the signer, which was as the signer.
I'll second that.
Just like last time. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Good. Well, I'm glad we got that clarified, because it definitely was a little confusing last time.
Yeah.
Okay, annual review and approval of the town's local emergency operations plan.
So what you have in front of you is our annual concurrence page for year 3, 2023. And what it states is the town of Plymouth, New Hampshire shall execute this page annually by the members of the new governing body at their first organization meeting. Town of Plymouth Emergency Operations Plan. What this consists of when we do the resource inventory and the reviews is we're reviewing all the local resources and policy updates. We're reviewing Plymouth schools, the elementary school, the regional high school operation plans. We're reviewing Mountain Charter Schools plan as well as Tri-Cap Head Start. So all of those plans and resources have been updated accordingly. So I would ask you to sign off on the concurrence year 3 page.
So do we need a motion for Zach to sign off?
Yep.
Okay. I'll make a motion to have Zach sign off on the Town of Plymouth, New Hampshire Local Emergency Operations Plan, Year 3, 2023.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. That is done. We originally had on our agenda a visit from Senator Sue Prentice, but due to some scheduling issues that happened, she is unable to join us tonight, but will join us for a future meeting. So now a review of institutional exemption properties from...
So
yeah.
what you have in front of you is the review of the institutional exempt properties. This process began back in January 2023 when Ann and I met with Whitney Consultants and asked them to go through our tax-exempt nonprofits based on what we heard at town meeting and wanting to learn more about the nonprofits and the tax-exempt. The inspections were started in mid-May and lasted over several months. The last time most of the properties were visited as part of an exemption process was during an initial application, most being 20 years ago. In all, 26 properties were inspected with a representative from the charitable entity. Applicants were required to submit articles of organization, bylaws, New Hampshire Secretary of State annual filings, the New Hampshire Charitable Trust documents under Section 12, any leases for the areas in which property was rented. All documents were received, and if needed, additional information was requested to confirm eligibility, which just last week we received some additional information from 2 entities, which led us to the completion of this report. Previously, the additional documentation and inspection request was only done when the first request was made for exempt status. The process will continue in the following years, with religious entities being inspected to ensure the properties are owned, used, and occupied in the same way the charitable entities were this year, with a cycle of inspections done over several years to keep the process fair and appropriately utilize resources. The results of this, 3 new properties were acquired, built, or occupied as additional exempt properties. 5 properties will have prorated assessments based on the portion that is used and occupied by exempt entities, and 1 property was removed from the exempt status as it is not used or occupied. So attached to that is the report that Whitney Consultants put together, and if you are in agreement with her executive summary, Emily Goldstein's executive summary, I would ask you to sign the last page, which is part of our MS1N, am I correct?
Yes.
Process that we will be completing before the end of October.
And this doesn't include the university because they have a different exemption.
Correct. I think it's important, Zach, that you read off what the amount of the exempt properties are on the very last page before you sign it, just so the public kind of has an idea.
Absolutely. I
How much
think that's
value, it could be land, it could be building, it could be just building it.
Yeah, so there's a total of 26 different exempt, I guess,
Exempt
agencies, each with 1 or more locations. And so the total comes to, the total assessed value is $74,952,437. and I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm guessing you have a ballpark number in your head. What's the total assessed value of the town?
We've received a preliminary for this year. That number is still being worked on. Last year's was 495 million.
So 495 million last year. That's
Yeah.
good enough. I know we're in the middle of a reassessment. And that 495 includes this well, I mean, I know this just got reassessed, but
No, the
this
495,000
the
is what we
taxable.
use to set the taxes with when we set the tax rate in the fall.
So if you were to say the full value of the town would be 495 plus the,
Yep.
but they're just
Plus
not
all
taxable,
kinds, right.
And is this let's say 75 million for round numbers. Is this 75 million 100% tax exempt, or is some of it partial?
This is the amount of all of these properties that is listed on our MS1 to the state as non-taxable properties.
Okay, so that 75 million is 100% non-taxable.
Correct.
And there are portions that will be prorated, that they will receive tax bills for a small portion of those facilities.
Of these facilities or additional?
Yeah, some of these facilities.
But this full 75 million is exempt.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There are
Another
other
piece to some of
pieces,
these.
So there are additional pieces that are not exempt that are
correct,
owned by
that may
these
be
entities.
owned by these people, correct.
Gotcha. So there is, you couldn't simply say, well, 75 million, that's the total untaxable. It's not, because there's more that's partial, plus there's the education institutions, both Plymouth State,
Right.
the elementary, high schools, et
SAU
cetera, et
office,
cetera,
yep.
et cetera.
Do we know how much we get from the pilot programs with a few of these organizations?
We only have 2 pilots right now, and Spear Memorial Hospital is $50,000 a year. And then we have a organization that's out on Fairgrounds Road, which we get about 18,000 a year, I'm guessing. And then we have the pilot, well, it's really not a pilot, it's an LSSA with the college.
We have Mid-State Health, which is $5,000 based on the court settlement agreement.
So that's really not funding that comes in, but it is an abatement so that we have guaranteed that we will not bill them for a certain number of years,
Who's
$5,000.
the organization on Fairgrounds Road?
It's the housing,
It's just,
Oh, I know which.
Oh, yeah.
Southern
it's
New
just beyond
Hampshire
Beach Road, I
Housing
think.
Authority, out on Fairgrounds Road.
But they do pay based on how much money they,
Correct.
yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
Yep.
And that 5,000 for Midstate was basically
Yep.
something that we
Which
should not have.
expires in 2025, and they're willing to sit down and renegotiate a pilot agreement with us once that expires.
Just for the heck of it, so the university, the value of the properties is something like, or we would, all I can think of is like how much money we would get if we were taxing them, and that was like 5 million a year or something. So I don't know how much actually their properties are valued.
I don't know, I haven't looked at the new values for
Yeah.
them.
I know it's a different regulation, or RSA, but still it's a chunk of property that,
Is it SNHS Management Corp.? Is that the one on
Yes.
Fairgrounds Road?
Yes, sorry.
That's okay. I just wanted to confirm so I understood. It's funny. Spear gets a great deal.
and for Spear, that's both the hospital and Boulder Point.
That's total.
Yep.
Yep, for all their properties.
Bless them.
Yeah. Well, and when you consider their,
Listed in
37, 38 million, I'm just trying to do quick math for Spear. So it's a lot of value.
They
Of
have-
this 75, like almost half of it is Spear.
Do you need a motion on this one, or is it just the
if
If you can, yeah, it's worth making a motion, and then she'll have that for the minutes if she needs it.
Okay, well, I am going to make a motion that we all sign off on the review of institutional exemption properties.
I'll second.
Any discussion? I will say, really glad that we're doing this. This is a good, healthy practice for us to be reviewing these regularly, and Emily has done a very nice, thorough job here. It's
Now
appreciated.
it gives us some updated documentation to be able to go out and have some additional conversations with those properties because they have had a full inspection done.
Right, right. That's great. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yours have blue names on it too.
No, I have
All right, that takes us to signature file review.
I do have these, here's Zach, but I will give to you for signatures as well.
These are just all the payment agreements? Is that all this
That
is
is
in here?
correct.
Okay. These are the ones we just discussed.
Are all payments agreements standard, or?
This falls
there
very much in
way-
suit with RSA 80, which talks about tax deed and tax liens, and it does fall right in line with the policy that we developed back in September or August on delinquent tax policy.
Do we have any estimates on, I'm just looking at some of these, of how long they need to make that payment agreement before they're actually in good standing?
I don't have a length, but I definitely can get that from Linda.
Yeah, it might be good. I just, the very first one in this list, it says they've been making monthly payments of $150 since 2018. It's like, is that a
That's what
20-year
they-
agreement? Is that a, yeah.
So that's what they can afford based on the financial information they've provided.
But that's in addition to what the
In addition-
annual amount is.
Correct.
It does say, and keep current on all new taxes, so they're chipping away at the old ones, and it's just curious. I don't. It's not clear to me. Like, is that? Do they never? Do they never get clean on it, or is it? Yeah.
Based on the interest, some will never get clean on it, Zach.
That's kind of what I worried about. I'm not sure it's a great deal for the town, but also to some extent, it's
Well, it also ensures they don't fall further behind.
On the current bills.
One thing it does is they know that we're checking on them. They know that we're pursuing tax liening, tax deeding. So in hopes that these payments come through on a monthly basis, and I do have Carol reporting to me, if a payment's not made, I will bring it right back to you, and then we can take additional action.
You have Linda reporting to you, right?
Linda, I'm sorry, I said Carol, didn't I?
Okay.
Linda.
what kind of penalties? We're charging interest, or what?
You still get charged interest.
At like
If it's a lien, I believe it's 12% now.
okay,
If it's regular property taxes, it's 8%.
all right, so 8 to 12%.
It used to be 12 and 18.
I need to become a lien holder.
I know. Our state actually dropped the interest rates for these payments.
Well, that's good. That is high.
I mean, if you want to become a lien holder, there's always Lending Tree. That's
That's right.
their whole shtick.
Well, I don't think they're going to give me 12%.
Lending Tree might be worse.
Oh, really?
It's pretty high.
Oh, I don't know.
You accept some of the risk of the debtor, but
Oh, that's important.
one of my former bosses had a significant of money invested in Lending Tree, and you can even be selective about which liens you hold. It's kind of an
Wow.
interesting investment model.
So I only have,
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was just you.
You get a whole stack to get
I
through.
only have 3 things to be signed. The first one is we had to revise the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development Agreement. for the property that you sold back to an individual, because there was actually no charge for recording fee, so we had to take that off. So there's two places here. They need to be signed, but if you could just sign either as a witness or put your name on there, that would be great. Two places to be signed. I also have a request to Merrittfield Savings Bank to borrow on our bond payment. Our bond that is sitting there, it's been sitting there for a couple of years. We're looking to borrow the remaining $1 million, and this is in association with the downtown drainage. We've reached our $1 million on how much we've expended, so we are asking for the board to approve that disbursement. Two pages to sign there. And then the last item I have goes along as well with the audit. This is an MS 535 is what they call that. Needs to be signed by the board. I worked with the auditor. We've gone through, double-checked numbers. This shows currently, and the auditor will reiterate this to you when he comes in at the next meeting, the unassigned fund balance is $331,000. So when we go to set the tax rate, I'm sure that the board will look at that and say, that's not a lot of money. So consideration there, but I do need the board to sign so we can take one step closer to setting the tax rate.
Do we only need 3 signatures on this one? Looks like Ted, my name, and,
Yeah, if you can
name.
just have Mary Ann sign as a witness, that's,
oh, okay.
it doesn't matter.
For who?
I signed on the wrong line, but it'll be
That's all right.
fine.
I'm sure they'll take it.
When you get the concurrence page back, if you want to just give that to me, I'll scan it, get it sent to Homeland Security tomorrow.
I haven't seen it.
I think it's in South,
Oh, is it going around? Okay.
but I can electronically submit that tomorrow.
Want me to add these to this pile, or do you want this back right now?
Oh, you can just add them to the pile. Well, Scott and I will go through it tomorrow when we get a chance.
Is that it for the signature file?
Yes.
On to committee reports. Mary Ann, you're first with Village Water and Sewer.
I was unable to make the last water and sewer.
That's in the file.
I'm sorry?
That's,
No, he was helping direct the envelope.
Oh,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Planning board, Neil is absent.
I can give you an update if you want.
That'd be great.
So the planning board meeting occurred last Thursday. The two things that were on the agenda were two boundary line adjustments. On Chatterin Lane, that passed. It was a residential boundary line adjustment. And then storage facility on Fairgrounds Road that has been proposed by Slater Holdings. That was continued until the next planning board meeting. The only other information is the Housing Opportunity Program Committee meeting on Wednesday night at 6:30 at the Bob Cafe at the high school. And that concluded the planning board meeting from Thursday night.
what was the thing on Fairgrounds extended, or, they couldn't make a decision on the,
They didn't make a decision because there was some additional information that was required by the planning board, which Horizons Engineering was doing the engineering for the project, and they're going to come back in on the next meeting and provide that information.
okay, thanks.
All right, Campus Community Council.
I'm trying to remember the date from the time that we met on campus and whether or not that was already reported on or not.
We reported on the town hall meeting that took place in August.
I think we did, yeah, it was in August.
Okay.
August 27th, I think, or September 27th. We did report on it because the three of us were there and we talked about it that last meeting in September.
Okay.
Okay.
Good job.
Well, some of these things now are a while ago, so
I
it's
know,
like,
when we missed that meeting, it throws everything into chaos. So we'll skip that and go to PES.
and this goes back a while too, but thankfully I have notes. So I did go to the Plymouth Elementary School on 10/2. Some of their significant report outs is that their enrollment is steady. They also talked about how all their field trips went off without a hitch as planned, and there was a lot of them. These are like the typical beginning of the year type ones.
Yep.
They go to various things. They did also talk about a author that came in and talked to the 7th and 8th grades. I missed some of the details. But this was a pretty significant event. I think the name is Brooklyn, but don't quote me on that. Let's see. They did also spend a significant amount of time talking about a policy change to the handbook, and this is about wearable tech. And some others may be much more aware of this, but it did create some significant outcry because this was kind of like a last-minute adjustment, and more or less they're trying to keep this technology from being disruptive in class, but they've also made some exceptions for some of them who are needed for like medical purposes and what have you. More or less, they don't want people reaching out to students while they're in class and through this technology, and therefore being able to either eavesdrop and invade privacy or act as a distraction. So they did talk about a review of this in a month, so I would assume that means in the November discussion will also feature this. Let's see, they had various things that they did talk about. The heat in the gym, that's been taken care of. Surround sound, that's supposed to happen at Thanksgiving. And they're going to do the floor next summer. Various drainage issues on the property. They're going into the planning phase for their privatization, I guess the best word for their library, and right now it's very open. The noise can easily creep in from the hallway area because there's basically no walls. They're going to essentially, as I understand it, glass that all in.
Oh,
So it should be quieter. I don't know, is it like necessarily more private?
There goes the air handling.
Right.
yeah, that's what I was wondering about, is how that's
I think
gonna
that's part of
the
that. I think
HVAC,
that's
yeah.
part of the project too. A lot of this is apparently being paid for by a grant, so that's always good. Let's see, there was various conversation about safety and athletics. Specifically, football was undefeated, field hockey, volleyball, all doing very well. They did have to extend the season because of that initial heat wave of sorts. And then, of course, our favorite seasonal activity this year, rain, has caused some issues. They talked about the fire drills and the evacuation drills all being completed. They tested their secure classroom alarm. And let's see. There was some requests to give the policy about the parental right to opt out of course materials. This is a little bit far back now for me to remember the details, but that was definitely talked about, and that pretty much sums up the Plymouth Elementary School.
All right. Plymouth High School ended up being an interesting meeting where I caused a little bit of drama. They, to my dismay, approved a new public engagement policy. The meeting agenda included the first hearing of this policy, or the first reading of this policy, at which they proceeded to not read it publicly. Then they voted on it and approved it. And then when I asked for to see a copy of it and to have a chance to see it during the public comment section, they told me no, and that it would be posted on the website the next day. And I was like, this seems like maybe the most absurd way to engage with the public on a public comment policy. I actually was concerned that maybe they had broken New Hampshire right to know laws. I had Scott contact an attorney to check to see if that was the case. Turns out they did not actually violate the law, but they definitely proceeded in a way that was extraordinarily non-transparent. I'm still quite upset about the situation today. I don't know, maybe just to put a thumb in the wound, the minutes from that meeting are still not published online, so that's cool.
What was the date of that meeting, Zach?
It would have been the day after. It would have been the day after.
Day after
so
yours.
it's-
What was the date of yours?
10-3.
The 3rd.
Yeah, 10-3. Yeah, so we're, 13 days since. I don't know what's going on at the high school. My personal opinion is that they're operating that board in a publicly non-transparent way. They're not interested in engaging with the public. And I'm, as a citizen in this community, I am dismayed by the way the high school is operating their board. We don't have any power over that. That is me making a statement about how it's happening. And I encourage, again, pushing back from my chair position, I'm speaking as a member of the public. In any of our surrounding communities, I would encourage you to vote against every sitting member on that committee because they do not want your input. They've made that perfectly clear. They've set a policy about public input without getting public input on it, and then didn't even publish the minutes of the meeting in which they did that. So I don't know what else to do using this particular moment and my particular control of this microphone to just make that public statement. I don't get it. It's very confusing to me. It makes me sad because, one, I love this community. Two, I love the high school. I think we run an absolutely amazing public high school here with great programs and frankly, a really great administration. And to see the board act in a way that is, I think, actively hostile to the public, it makes me sad. So anyway, I had the control of the microphone tonight and felt like I could say all of those things. That's it. That's all I got. I will continue to attend those meetings.
That happened at that meeting? You remember?
So I was going to pull up the agenda just to make sure, because obviously I got a little worked up because of the way that it proceeded, but the agenda's not there, so I couldn't look. It was a pretty short meeting. I think they reported on some great things that are happening with athletics. The football team's fantastic again this year.
Any update on the principal search?
The principal search, they're moving into the next phases, and they encourage people to look at the website for details on how that was proceeding. But yeah. For anybody who doesn't know, Bruce Parsons is retiring, and they're searching for a new principal.
Just like he was going to do, what, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, he's given them a nice long ending, which is, again, very good because Bruce is wonderful.
That's true.
Any other things? I wish I had more details on it, but I just don't. Go watch the video. You'll get to watch me be really upset. It's there. Conservation Commission, Ted.
Yes. All right. So we met last week on the 17th. Nothing too eventful. They did have no minutes from the previous meeting because it wasn't quite ready yet. There was some discussion about a budget discrepancy. They're down 34 cents, but they couldn't figure out why.
Okay.
In other words, they got the two budget reports and they haven't spent anything, and
We'll look at that.
And takes a little bit off the top.
Yeah.
34 cents.
34 cents, give or take.
And so they were wondering if there was some kind of accounting error. That doesn't reflect their bridge repair, which is coming in around $600. That's over in the Rainbow Falls area. The Trails Committee reported out that they had a successful work party on the previous Saturday. They did invite the PSU Google Club, Geography Club, and they got some participation from that, so they're getting extra help from PSU students. There was a conversation about dedicating the bridge. I'm not going to spill the beans on that. Let's see. So
Secret bridge information?
they want to do a dedication, and
Do you have timing on? I mean, the details, I don't care, but obviously.
they were just talking about there was a consensus to approve this,
Okay.
dedicating it in someone's name.
What bridge?
There was a bridge at Rainbow Falls. It's
At
like
Rainbow Falls, okay.
Gotcha.
They did the repairs complete on the Walter Newton Trail. There were some boardwalk style bridges that were in disrepair, so they've repaired those. And that previous bridge was one they are going to have to completely replace because it's basically destroyed beyond belief, and that's what the $600 for. They're using some combination of PT and native stuff to build something that's gonna last probably 20 years.
So which bridge was that then? Or is it the
The-
one that's by the falls?
I
or is
think
it-
so. It's been a while since I've walked out there
Yeah.
myself.
It was destroyed? Or like
Basically,
damaged or something?
I don't think it was destroyed by, I think, it was older,
Yeah.
and then some people jumped up and down on it or something like that, and
Yeah.
it finally gave way. Not that it was,
It wasn't like maliciously destroyed. It was.
that I couldn't tell you.
Oh, okay.
I don't think so, but if you get a bunch of people on something that wasn't designed for it, they get a little, over excited, and then they jump up and down, and then snap, oops, okay. So that's what I think happened, but let's see, they have a NHACC conference in November that Joan has apparently emailed everybody about, and so they're encouraging some of their members to go. For communications, that they are getting out the rest of the bios. They're looking for volunteers involvement, and we've had a number of people who have come from the community and sat right there and have expressed interest in helping with various activities.
Mhm.
Let's see. And so Melissa is adding to the report section on the website. Basically, when the minutes are published, she's just going to drop them in a folder, and then they'll be instantly published. So that'll make things a little bit easier. There was discussion about things coming back from the planning board. I think somebody already covered the planning board today. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Scott did.
So I'm not going to go into detail here. They did hire a consultant, and this is true, I assume. The planning board hired a consultant to do a summary of some sort.
So
Housing report. This is about the
Yeah,
housing
there's,
report.
That's the HOP program.
Barrett Consulting is working with the Housing Opportunity Program in development of the 3 phases of the program.
Okay. I wasn't sure on that. It's sometimes hard to take notes and be there. They're looking to, create some focus areas, tending to the Rotary, and there's some redevelopment area that's talked about on North Main Street. This is part of that housing report, or the redevelopment report of sorts. They had a map where it showed this little stretch here and a little stretch here, and this is where the development and they want to make sure that basically they're not trying to conserve properties that are already in contention for other things. Let's see. they're talking about looking at all their bylaws in an upcoming meeting. Apparently, they haven't been reviewed in a while, so they're going to go through them. They're going to start like 30 minutes early, I think, in November, and have a subgroup go through all of the bylaws and then bring those changes to the larger group. Let's see. And then we concluded the meeting with another review of this giant map that Ina Ahern created to show the different focus areas in the town, the things that are conserved, the things that are not. I think that's pretty. It was a pretty quick meeting, relatively speaking. We ended at 8:10, which is
When did you
almost
start?
7 o'clock.
Yeah.
Almost always these things go the
Over
full
9, yeah.
go to the full 2 hours. So I still have to type up these notes because this was my week.
Oh.
Be the official note taker. So
It was your week.
yes, but it was a good meeting. It was well run, and it was like a clockwork. Really enjoyed it.
Good. Scott mentioned capital improvement, and we met 2 weeks ago, I think, and we're meeting again tomorrow to review with departments the requests, the updated plan. And we scheduled that to also coincide with when the advisory budget committee is meeting, so that we all get distracted for one day instead of two. There's quite a bit of overlap now between the two committees, so it should be pretty convenient. But that's my report. No real significant news other than we're making progress on the new plan. LRPC.
Haven't continued. I continue not to go to the commissioners' meetings, and the last executive committee meeting they canceled because of lack of quorum, and that's pretty much it. And actually, I don't know if John Chris has provided any kind of report on. I think he's been attending the commissioners' meetings.
He told me he'd been attending, but he didn't really have any more comment other than he'd been listening and hearing what they're talking about. But
That's good,
yeah,
because I'm not.
well, and hopefully, if anything truly significant comes up, he'll bring it through the planning board. Parks and Rec Commission.
There is no development since last.
Okay. Parking Committee.
Got nothing.
Got nothing. People are still parking. It's still happening.
Still happening.
Energy Commission.
So Rebecca Hanson was invited to the previous meeting, and she was trying to collaborate with Energy Commission to try to formulate best steps on how to proceed with planning and also energy needs. And Rebecca suggested looking for funding opportunities, and she volunteered to be the planning board's contact with the Energy Commission. And then Grace gave it at least an estimate on what's happening with the solar array on an airport road, and I guess we're still waiting for.
Thank you. I can barely hear you down here.
Yeah, I'm just mumbling for the normal mumble, but we're looking at, I guess, finding the end of the interconnect study, and
It's occurring, and I don't know at what stage we are, but that will finish up sometime late fall, and construction will take place early spring.
Yep, and there's no jeopardy as far as any funding. It's still going to be
Absolutely
there.
not.
So, yeah, there was a concern about that. But and we also had this Gabe Chelius, who was with Clean Energy New Hampshire, and he visited us and was able to speak to several potential funding opportunities for energy projects. One is perhaps getting funding for weatherization and energy efficiency for municipal buildings, school buildings, senior citizen centers. And Gabe, I believe, also lives in Plymouth, so we might be able to tap into him to, be a an Energy Commission member as well. And speaking of Gabe, there is what is it? Just a general meeting. It's called Local Energy Solutions. It's the LES conference. It's going to be, where is it? The Doubletree Center in Manchester. And it's kind of interesting because a lot of people from Energy New Hampshire will be there, including Gabe Chelius, and also our own Phil Lamoureux will be speaking. So, and Sam Evans-Brown from NHPR Radio. He's now working for Clean Energy New Hampshire. So it's not only interesting, it's entertaining. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Any questions for Bill about Energy Commission? All right. Economic development.
I did have one question, so Scott already gave an update. Any concern, I don't know how many students are going to be working on the committee, but sort of the continuity of semesters and breaks and things like that, will we be able to continue on?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
Yeah, it shouldn't hamper the process,
Okay,
is what I'm told.
thank you.
All right. Well, let's spin that right into Chamber of Commerce.
Sure. Let's see, talked about 2 new members. They've signed on. They got 133 members right now have joined year to date, so that's great. The travel and tourism, it's coming up, I think it's January, so they're still looking for sponsorship, and they have scheduled 3 speakers. They have done a couple ribbon cuttings. I know one for Voices Against Violence.
What about Parade?
Don't see Parade.
Because they, at the last, one of the recent meetings for the chamber, they were saying that their grand opening is, it may already have happened, actually.
Grand opening is tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock.
Okay, wow, timely.
It is not on the,
What's the?
didn't show up in the notes. No, they do have one for Westcott Law in November. But other than that, I don't have the other
Who
one.
was the first grand opening? I'm sorry, I missed that one.
Voices Against Violence.
Okay.
They've moved over, near the lodge, I don't know, near that old tattoo parlor. Sorry, mainly reference. I know Maddie spoke at a PSU business class. They've been trying to do some collaboration with PSU. We're still looking at some membership projects, prospects, Rockywood, La Familia, which is very delicious if you haven't been there yet. There was somebody else.
What was the travel and tourism thing you mentioned?
So they set that up every, I believe it's January. They have folks come in from the state talking about travel and tourism, what's coming up, how we can take advantage of things. My understanding, it's more meant for, well, the Waterville valleys and things like that.
Yeah.
I could be totally wrong. I've never attended.
Yeah.
As
So it's
opposed-
kind of an event.
Yes.
Do you know how big that is?
Last year, I know they had a good turnout, a lot more than they expected. It is an expensive event, but I don't
It's
know.
been a few years ago that I went to one, it was over in Prospect, and it
Okay.
filled Prospects, so there's a lot of people showed up.
Right, they do. It was a good event last year. They're reviewing all the bylaws right now. They're looking at creating a referral program right now. It's in a draft right now. Maddie is now a full-time member of the organization. Well, not full-time, but 20 hours. It could be a little bit more than that. So they've created a job description plus the official offer. They're still doing a lot of board member recruiting as usual. We're also trying to do a little bit more with the community volunteerism, kind of get out there a little bit more. I think the last one was working with PYC. I think that was the last one. And they're also trying to increase funding by offering more advertising to the current members. Let's see, I know they're working on the Build a Scarecrow event. I think that's all the highlights.
It's a lot of good highlights. Seems lots of stuff going on.
Yes.
It's great. Phil, do you have an update on Perlac?
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
did you note that? Bill said.
Yeah. Spell that.
I heard it too.
So we, well, part of the thing also with, Transport Central, but we were looking at obtaining monies from the towns that we support. And Max Stamp, the former chair of Perlac, and myself went before Bristol, because Bristol likes to have a very interactive interview process with all the nonprofits that they fund. So we ended up doing their dog and pony, and I think they were very supportive. I don't think he probably would want to do it in Plymouth, or we would want to do it in Plymouth, because
We have a nonprofit committee that does that.
yeah, well, they have a commit. Well, I've never been interviewed, I don't think, or Perlac, for Transport Central.
You mentioned that to Mark, you might.
No, never mind.
You will
Okay.
now. That's right. You will be interviewed.
Well, if they watch
Right.
Yeah, we're a very valuable nonprofit.
and they want to be interviewed,
And, so we have another, our next meeting is next Tuesday. And that's it.
Police and Fire Building, I haven't heard anything recently. Do you have an update?
So we were back and forth with the Turner Group. The Space Needs interviews will take place at the fire department on October 25th, Wednesday. And the interview for the police department will take place on Friday, October 27th. Then we should have the information back from them, which will allude to the size of the building as well as the size of the lot that is needed.
Yep.
So we're hoping that 2 weeks after these are completed, we'll have that information back.
That's great.
Scott, in your report, we didn't talk about Halloween. Do you want to give those hours? October 31st, 4:30 to 5:30 is Main Street.
Yep.
And then I think 5:30 to 7:30?
It's in town.
Yes.
Right.
That's both on the 31st?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's important. We should
We'll
have
be
had
out
that
in
up
front of
front.
Town
All right.
Hall.
No, it's
We're
fine.
Distributing candy. Ann and I.
And Chris. And, yes, so,
You gotta dress up?
I
of
might.
course.
he's gonna dress up as
Doesn't take his mask
a
off.
manager.
Thanks, Bill, for throwing that out there. Appreciate that.
You ought to have some select board members too there that get dressed up.
You can come and join us.
I
was
might be
staring
able
at
to
Mary Ann,
join
but-
you.
Marianne's got her own business to be at.
Yeah.
What time was it in front of town?
4:30
Transport
to
Central
5:30.
giving out candy?
I could probably join you then.
We could. I'll dress up like a volunteer driver.
Oh. Sorry.
Tried. Any other business? Public comment?
I think, again, very nice, informative meeting. And as a citizen of the town of Plymouth, I'd like to thank the board members for your professional attention to the affairs of the town, and we're well served. Thank you.
Thanks, Frank.
Thank you, Frank.
And we have no listed need for non-public.
So, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Usually Marianne's favorite. All those in favor? Aye.
It's not your favorite? It's up there. All right.
It's up there. My favorite is accepting money.